Kia ora team and welcome to episode 34 of Yarns with Beef and Matt, brought to you by LSKD and Frog Grips. I'm Beef.
I'm Matt.
And joining us today, he is a businessman, he is a coach, he is a husband, and he is the owner of CrossFit Proven. From Australia, but joining us all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, it is Shane Orr. How are you, bro?
G'day, guys. Good, thank you. Thanks for having us. But yes, time zones were quite difficult for us all to connect, so I appreciate you guys being quite flexible this morning.
Nah, to be honest, you were pretty good with your time. Made it. You also left off he's a father.
I did leave that
I
off.
saw you written it down there. That's an
You
important
did.
one now.
Yeah, it's probably honestly the best accolade that I've absolutely achieved, but we can go into that later on. But yeah, you did leave that one off.
He's
But that's
got
a
it
new
written
one,
down.
relatively.
I wrote it down.
Oh, you
We-
did?
we could call it nerves.
Yeah. I got the same, don't worry.
Sweet, man. Listen, before we dive into too much, what we like to do is we start these things off, get a bit of a background on you, but we want to dive way back. The young Shane Orr, what was he doing?
The young. Yeah, mate, depends how young you want to go.
As young as you want.
What I will say is, What I will say, so I grew up in a small remote town in Australia called Weipa. The population then was about 2,000 people, right? And that's including the shires and districts around. So
Oh, wow.
quite remote in that sense. I think that's pretty important to tie in because I think when I thought about where I'd end up, none of this would ever like quantify or ever imagine being where I am in a fortunate position, especially to add United States in the picture of it all too. So like, it was quite hard to grasp that as a young person to think that these realities were ever a thought. But I grew up there. Now, when I left school or going through my final years of school, I played rugby through school and did a lot of that. But once I finished school, I went back to Weipa and worked in the mines. And I started my apprenticeship as a mechanical fitter and turner. I did that. And the whole concept behind doing that was so that I had something to fall back on, right? Like that was my dad's thing. Like, hey, I don't care what you do, but you need either a degree or you need a trade behind you so that you could always land on your feet wherever you are in the world. So I did that. I sort of did that to make him happy. I'm fortunate that I did that because it ended up making me happy, provided like good stepping stones for where I am today.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of those processes and procedures and like underlying like mechanics of movement and like what is the actual hindering fault in this person's ability to move. And I'll probably go through that a bit later on, but that seems to be a big milestone or stepping stone in terms of where I was in my life, in my apprenticeship using that. But and I found Tia in Weipa. I met Tia in Weipa in that small town. And then we fast forward a little bit and I found myself just dropping in and out of mines and working through construction. So I found myself working that lifestyle. And I'm sure many of your listeners are very common in New Zealand and Australia to find yourself working in that industry, in the mining culture.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like, this is a part of my life, right? Like I remember there was a particular day I was getting on a bus heading to work and the people in front of me were talking about their weekend and they were getting a bit miserable or grumpy that, oh man, it's Monday, it's Groundhog Day. And I remember just sitting there and just like pondering on that thought almost out the window, right? And going, oh, well, not long left, Shane. You've only got another 37 years at this rate, you know? So like, don't worry. Like, you know, if I play my cards right, I can retire early and be at 60 and blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking like crap, this is life, but I was content with it. And that was probably at the age of 20, 21. But I think I'm fortunate where this podcast has led, where myself and Tia found CrossFit, we're in a new town called Gladstone. And now that's just north of Brisbane, about 5-6 hours drive north. And I stumbled upon this through rugby, actually. So in the off season, when the paddocks were wet, our coach would suggest, hey guys, so we can't get on the paddock today. It's too wet. We're going to go to a CrossFit gym and do this. And I was one of those guys. I said, CrossFit, like, man, like, let's just go to like Globo gym and let's just bench it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went there. The whole time I was thinking, man, Tia would love this. Like, this is right what she needs. We just spoke about this because at the time she was preparing for track and field event. She was doing the 400 hurdles and we had just spoken about, hey, we're just missing some of the like the back end stamina in your last 100. And she's like, yeah, I just need more explosiveness, and I need more strength. And then, I thought about that throughout the whole session I was there, because it had box jumps and some other plyometric things. I thought, this is perfect. Kid's gonna love this.
Yeah.
So anyway, as soon as I'd done that session, I went home and said, hey Tia, there's this thing called CrossFit. I think you should try it. It's perfect for what we talked about. Sure enough, she went in there, she did the class, and I was excited to hear her feedback. And I said, how'd it go? And she goes, I absolutely hated it. I don't like it.
Oh, shit.
And I said, oh, dang. Okay, that's not what I wanted, but okay, that's fair enough. And that's another story there. We can go down that one. But eventually, long story about that. She ended up loving it.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. And then we just find ourselves in this sort of, at that point in time when she started loving, just going through the motions, right? Like there was never a set of goal of, hey, let's be the most dominant female athlete ever in the CrossFit space, or let's go to the Olympics, or let's go to the Commonwealth Games and do those amazing things, which is phenomenal. It was just, hey, let's just join the local comp squad. Let's do that. Hey, let's then go on to this thing called regionals, if that's what they call it, and then, hey, let's see what oh crap, I qualified for the games. Let's do that. Oh crap, I came second. Let's double down. Let's do better than that. Anyway, it just steambolled, or it rolled further and further, and then honestly, and basically here we are. Hey, like it's just crazy where it can take you. And I guess when people ask you like, oh, where did you come from, and where do you see for the future, never had I predicted where we are today, and never had they imagined where we started from too. Yeah. I hope that answered some of the guys.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's good to know that, yeah, you can come from a little town called Weipa. Whereabouts is that in Australia?
Yeah, so the tippy pointy part of Australia, that's it's up there.
Yeah, way up north.
Yeah, exactly. So where Sydney is, I was just telling you, where Sydney is, about 37 hours drive north. Yeah.
Sweet days. Nice. No worries.
Just up the road.
Yeah. A couple of fuel stops there.
Yeah, just up the road. Exactly, yeah.
No, like you said, that's awesome hearing your story, hearing a bit of background on you, because in my opinion, you're like the ideal role model for people like us who, come from a small town, and it's hard to fall into that small town mindset. We talked about this last week with J-Boy. He's from South Auckland, so it's a bit of a rough neighborhood up there, but yeah, it's really cool to hear you coming from small town and really having that belief in yourself. Or did you have that belief early on that, I could grow something this massive? Or I think you actually said it wasn't really on the cards.
Yeah. Beef, that's honestly like a good question, because no, not to be honest, it was never instilled in me to like have this self-belief. I credit Tia a lot for it, because some of her visions and some of her goals, right, were beyond what I thought was a possibility. But I think just by controlling what we could, right, at that point, and I think that's a good thing from coming from a remote or small town. It's like you don't play out of your means. You go, okay, like this is the cards that I've dealt, or this is the gym that I have. I got to work within this and maximize what I have from it. She was awesome at that, and I think I got so bogged in and engrossed with her goals that I didn't think of what the realms or what the parameters were. Like she said, this is what she wants to do, right? I'll script out a play and let's see how we can get there together, or get there for her at least.
Yeah. Just going on that, what you just said there, you said that Tia helped you realize your goals. But if you go back to her first games, which came second, and it's in that documentary, it's all well documented, where going into the final event, she was, I'll get the camera out of my face, she was very nervous. And then the following year, she then goes on to dominate the sport. You definitely were a massive impact in her life, obviously. And I think you just said it before, was it, just a case of you just wanted to see her succeed, so you sort of took a back step on what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, I think you guys share the same passion as us. Like anyone who's a coach, right? Like our objective is to see your athletes, or to see your peers thrive or strive to hit their goals, right? It's just something that makes us unique, or gravitate towards being a coach. We want to see others succeed. And I think a lot of us, especially at the top end, fortunately, right? Like we're wired that way. The selfishness it's just not in our nature. We want to see success, and I think we're driven by the needs to see others succeed. So that to me is something that's ingrained in me. And especially when it's your spouse or your loved one, you'll do anything for that to happen, right? To see them succeed. It doesn't become a financial objective. It's an emotional buy-in. You're like, I'll do whatever it takes. And I think that's what's always been like a big piece to our relationship. Has always been this coach relationship, because when I first met her, in order for us to hang out at the park, it'd be when she's doing her track back in her high school days. I'd be on the stopwatch, right? Like, so even at that age of our lives, we had this relationship where I was on a stopwatch and she was bloody running laps around an oval just so we could hang out. And here we are still doing it now. We're fortunate enough to have a family, and I'm still doing the same bloody thing, which I love. But I think to answer some of this too, firstly, the documentary that they first shared out wasn't something that we were proud of, and we didn't believe it shared a great representation of Tia, right? I think any athlete to be on a world stage has self-belief. There's a lot of competitions or elements of being tested in order to make sure that you're adequate to be at that level to go to the CrossFit Games. So I think she had a lot of self-belief in herself. I think that many of us, I'm sure much of your audience would understand, like, just the larrikin or the sarcasm that Australia has to offer, or even New Zealand, and we understand that. And then when selected footage, you can pull apart and make them look doubtful or second guess themselves and play the scared or timid athlete. So I think some of that had to do with the overall production of the show. But what I will say is, after it did play out the second place 2 years in a row, we did have to reshape our model of how we did things, right? And I know as a coach that a lot of the learnings, a lot of the lessons are some of the words that I instilled with her, right? Like the small concept of how I frame things rather than like highlighting the negative things. I wanted to highlight the positive things, right? And as coaches, it's so easy for us to grab or visualize or see what the athlete's doing wrong, and we just press on that right away than highlighting the many things that they do good, or reframing the words, right? For instance, something on a pull-up bar, rather than saying don't let go, say hold on. Small scenarios like that, and that can reshape or change the athlete's concept of thought, because all they don't hear the don't, they hear the let go, right? When you're in a fatigued state of mind, and it's so easy for them to be engrossed by that. So, and another scenario too, when it comes to like weightlifting, if there's two athletes and one of them seems to be doing a better job at something that I notice the other athlete isn't, I would then go to the other athlete and go, hey, that extension you're doing, Jay, phenomenal, man. I love that. Like, that's what I'm chasing every time. An athlete B, let's use Tia as an example. She goes, oh, wow, that gets praise. I'm going to exaggerate my extension on the next rep just so that I can hopefully get a pat in the back. And they're the little traits, or they're the little, I guess, coaches' games that we want to play to elevate our athlete. And that did come off the back end of Tia coming second the next year. And I'm not saying that because of my words is the reason of the outcome. We did a big shift, a big change in a lot of the dynamics that we did do the following year.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Let's take it back again, because I genuinely just want to get to know you, Shane.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Okay.
Take it back. So you're mining, you're playing rugby, then you found CrossFit, and like you said, CrossFit was, you'd rather go to a gym like every young male wants to do, just outbench everyone else.
Bench, yeah.
What was the goals? You said, you were going to settle down and carry on mining and that, and like we come from a similar background. I'm a qualified diesel mechanic. He's a qualified engineer. We all get caught up in that trap over this side of the world. Get a trade and work till you die type mentality. Did you have any aspirations, whether it be rugby or even yourself going to the CrossFit Games? Was that ever on the cards for you, like a little bit?
Not so much rugby, and it dawned on me pretty quick. I don't know if you gentlemen felt this way too. Like, as soon as I become injured, I'm now replaceable at work, and then I don't provide an income.
Yeah.
And that was like, that really dawned on me going, well, this is just a passion, right? Like a hobby or something that I really thoroughly enjoy. Allows me to build relationships with friends, play rugby and do that cool thing, keeps me fit, all that positive stuff. But it came down to like, heck, man, if I'm not able to work, I'm not able to provide food on the table, and something had to change there. Then I fast forwarded, and then we found CrossFit, and there was like a little fire in me going, man, what if I did this, could I do that? And that's when Tia and I found it, and our parallels or our trajectory of growth in the competitive space were going, and obviously Tia excelled substantially, and I think we played the right cards there. But
Yeah.
I knew that in order for one of us to succeed, both of us couldn't be trying this out, right? And I'm very fortunate that I put my ego or my weaknesses aside to put her first. And I think we see that sometimes in BASS programming. I could see myself earlier on, Tia would be great at particular movement, but I'd double down on it because I need it. Like those selfish things do seep through. So I thought I had to remove myself completely from being this dream, and then put what's more important to me, and that's to see my wife succeed.
That's awesome, man.
Sorry to cut you in, but what's fascinating too, and just because you gentlemen are like very, very similar to us in terms of trades and the mechanical background, it's funny that I come over here and the group, and I'm in a conference room now, and then when I'm talking to our peers or talking to our staff or our team, and we go around the table and go, hey, what did you used to do, and all that stuff, and they tell us their background. And why I say that is when we were building this gym, I think a lot of them were taken back of some of the, let's call it like manual labor, that the skills that I was able to do to put some of the stuff together. And I was telling them around this table going, guys, like back home, when I would be at a barbecue or a friend setting, everyone had a trade, or everyone was mechanical minded or labor qualified. Like we've all got friends in our gyms that are carpenters, mechanics. We've got electricians, concreters, anything from laboring. But when I came over here in this setting, we had college degrees, exercise science. We've got like graduates. We've got medical professions. We've got sales. We've got insurance, and all those styles of background. So it is interesting because that's something that I've had to learn when I've come over here with when I process things, it comes from a mechanical mind. But when I have to deliver it, I need to come from more of a theoretical sort of PowerPointy presentation, to be completely honest. So those minute differences are some of those things that we had to adapt to and adjust just by when you think you're talking apples to apples, but you're not in some degree. And there's some of the minute differences.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of that.
No, that's good. That's great. You ramble whenever you want, mate.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I love that you're saying that, because this side of the world, Australia and New Zealand, we have a very hardworking culture. It's great to have a work ethic that's number one on the old CV. But getting a trade and getting your hands dirty, the DIY is huge over here. But to take it back to what you said about, if I get injured, I can't provide for my family. That might have been a huge moment. I don't know if I've ever given him credit. A guy I used to work with called Fletcher, he hurt his back. So we're both qualified engineers, and he's hurt his back on site. And he had to take 4 months off work, and obviously at a reduced pay rate. And times got tough for him, and he battled it out, and he came back to work. And he did share something with me one day, because while he was off work, he started learning how to be a detailer, which was just another part of the profession. But it just means you could sit on a computer and dabble away all day. But I know he's not really into that kind of stuff. And I'm like, bro, why are you even doing that? And it was that whole message, is that I hurt myself and I couldn't provide for my family. So I needed to find another way to do that. And then that sort of spiraled in me. It sort of ignited the fire to try a little harder with my videography and my business. And here I am today. But that's a huge message. It's so important to, you can have a plan B, but what happens when plan B is fucked? We need plan C. We need something else. So I love that message.
Yeah, that's massive, man.
That's cool.
I'm going to take it in a completely other direction, and I had this before and I lost it, but I've got it back.
Cool.
It was on the documentary. You said it didn't really play out that well. And to be fair, like we just watch the documentaries. We don't know the people involved. Like I don't know you. I don't know Tia. You know, it's great to have these conversations to get a little bit more insight. But I've been dying to ask this question to someone. How do you see the pundits, the critics, like? And what I mean by that is, it's important to have them because it solidifies our sport, right? Every sport's got a TV show that has them critiquing the athletes, but you're in there, man. Like you're at the tip of that because you're with Tia, who's the gold standard. How do you balance, or how do you even view the critics, the pundits? From your standpoint.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing and a curse, right? That comes with the territory. When you do something well, there is there is a minority that don't want to see you do well, and I think that's something we've delved deeper into. Of like, okay, like that's sort of it comes with the space in any profession. See, like it's for me right now. I feel like we're in a destructive era or a time with it all. I feel for a lot of the athletes though, like they just want to be more candid and share more of their training, but then they just feel like they're getting a lot more crucified. I know that from a standpoint outside of our camp, where they go, yeah, just there's no point because there seems to be a stronger, but the people that comment is a minority, right? Like there seems to be, if you look at the algorithm, there's a lot more people just viewing and sharing it or liking it than there are commenting. So there's just a minority that seem to think that they just want to pick apart and do stuff like that, like, and share a negative light in it. I'm not wired that way, and I don't think you gentlemen are either. So it's really hard to conform or understand where they're coming from. I feel like if they want to be productive towards a space, I think there's many ways that we can do that to grow the space. I don't think that we're at a pivotal point where we need to have villains or any negative media publicity for our sport. I think we're still in a positive mindset where we can grow together and work with that. I think a lot of that stuff can actually be challenged by actually reaching out to the athlete or to the camps and see if it's actually any truth to whatever they're talking about. It's just hard for me to sit here and try to comprehend their angle or their objective in it all when you don't have a relationship with them, nor do they reach out to try work out if it's true or not. And see, it's just tough, man. Like even to have a conversation like this, you got to have your guard up because you just don't know.
Yeah,
it's easy to pull apart a word or two, and then it just takes out of context. And it's just not that you're afraid, but you just care more about not upsetting anyone because I don't know. I just feel like people are looking to be upset sometimes too.
Yeah, I 100% respect you answering like that because I know what you mean. There are people watching this who are ready to fucking make a video about the dumbest thing, and I respect how you answered that, and I get that you have to have a guard up, as we've seen recently anyway. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, because I don't. It doesn't change. It doesn't change how I view the scenario of what our objective is, right? Like our objective is clear. My goal is to create the best possible athletes that I can, and then if I can, and make them better human beings inside and outside the gym. And if the objective of the test is to find the fittest on earth, and that still aligns with my goals then I'm absolutely going to work towards doing that. If people want to pull me left or right or want to tell me otherwise, that's up to them. That doesn't really enter my state of mind or what I'm trying to achieve.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah, no, that's good. To take it back again.
Let's run it.
I did have a question around. We were introduced to your whānau initially through Paddy.
Oh yeah, Paddy Orr.
Okay.
He reached out, and obviously you've been a massive success, and he's got success through Oracle Sports, his athlete management. So I want to know, like, what's home life like for you? Small town, but like you said, not necessarily big ambitions, but you've got two that I know of, massively successful humans coming out of this family. What's home life like?
Oh wow. Yeah, man. Home life in what? Like our actual growing up as kids?
Yeah.
upbringing,
What's the
yeah.
parents? What's the parents like?
I bet just like you gentlemen, well, my father worked in the mine, so like that was ingrained in us pretty early on. You know, he spent 30 plus years in the same mining industry in the same mine spot. So that was fortunate for me to at least realize like this is what it looks like to be at the same spot. And that made me think this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I learned that was ingrained pretty early on. And my mum, so I'm half Filipino. So my mum moved to Australia pretty early on, right? And so she learned a lot and had to adapt and adjust a lot. So that to see that growth or to recognize that now as an adult, I mean that made me appreciate her significantly a lot more to go, dang, this is not easy to move to the other side of the world and try to take on those challenges. So I couldn't imagine learning English, you know, and trying to adapt and adjust to that. I just think it's just from the work ethic, right? And I think just watching them do what they had to do for us to succeed is huge. I think for us, in order for us to get an education, we actually had to go to boarding school, which is in Cairns. So we ended up spending 3 years of our life away from our small town, which was awesome. It allowed us to have additional role models from like some of our boarding masters and having peers from other spectrums outside of our small town. So I think that was a great eye opener. But man, like just proud of like my parents, and I want to do them proud. I think that's probably the hidden message of like where our family dynamics is. And I think like Patrick, myself, and my younger brother, I think we just we're very fortunate for what we had, and we want to scale up what they provided us so that we're showing that in return, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a massive message. And just on that, real quick, shout out to Paddy, because man, he's supported us, and I don't know if he's ever realized it, but he's really tried to put athletes in front of us. Like, I know it helps his brand and his athletes' brands, but to notice it, I mean, we had like maybe 90 or 100 followers, and he's like, here, like, get this chick on, like Bree Clark from the Broncos, you know, and get this person
cool.
on, like, and it's really cool to see that, like, you guys are obviously successful. You're willing to, like, you know, help others along their journey. So you shout out to Paddy.
That's
what
cool.
a guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I like.
So you guys start. Sorry, I'd love if you guys could just recap with me. Like, so where did it start for you guys? I tried to follow Instagram so I could be well equipped, but I don't know. Are you able to? I don't know if this is normal. Can you guys share like where it all started or the passion for podcast?
You want to take it?
Well, yes, 7, 8. Well, man, this goes back maybe 2 years. So I opened an affiliate in
Let's go back.
2019. I opened an affiliate. Just like you, I was starting to look around the room going, I do not want to spend the rest of my life as a diesel mechanic. So opened an affiliate, took a gamble, and that's where I met Beef. And he was just starting his media journey as well. He was in the same boat. You know, we're both in the trade, and he wanted to expand. And then we always talked about doing something in the media space because New Zealand, Australia weren't represented well enough in our eyes. They just weren't. You know, you've got the big hitters in Europe and America. And then, 2 years after saying, let's start a podcast, we decided to start a podcast. And it just, honestly, Bailey Martin was our first guest. He's a New Zealander. We knew him. And he was like, yeah, I'll help you guys out. And then from there, like, it's just been amazing. Every Tuesday, we've had the chance to sit down with someone. That's been 7-8 months now. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's been pretty cool, man. Really liked it.
Yeah, definitely. It was more so Matt's knowledge on the space. Obviously, I was fairly new, like he said, just getting into media. But it come down to Matt just seeing the need. There's a gap in the market, and we could potentially fill it. And I was like, oh. But it's funny because I've always found that Kiwis and Australians sort of have that, sort of like a real laid-back attitude, like, someone else will do it.
Yeah.
Tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
You don't want to stick your
Absolutely,
neck
man.
Yeah.
We thought if we could do it, then we'll do it. And it's great. And even though there's that tall poppy syndrome, it is really good to see the athletes come on and tell their story, because like you say, it's really easy to write them off in a comment when you don't know the person. I think that's important.
But you guys are bang on, man. Like that tall poppy syndrome, it's a real thing. Like it's a real thing because it's almost in our DNA, but it also allows us to be more resilient in a lot of things too. Like again, it's like that blessing and the curse because we're able to like shrug things off. Nothing. It's like water on a duck's back for a lot of the comments or a lot of the hardship that we do face. It is a strength of being Australian, New Zealand to have that concept of thought, but it is destructive if you are trying to chase aggressive or outrageous goals because you need that self-belief, or you need to believe beyond, because there's going to be many encounters where there's going to be physical setbacks, and you got to just be able to be so headstrong about it, and you need to manifest it because it does not happen by chance. You got to create your own chances, and that's just rocking up and doing it day in, day out, even when there's a lot of critics or even when there's self-doubt in your head.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So good on you guys, man. That's awesome.
I love that. That was a video worth making. That made me feel good, and I
Cool.
100% guarantee it'll help a lot of people who listen to the podcast.
Cool.
But yeah, I like that you said the tall poppy syndrome. It's similar to what you have to deal with the critics in the space. Well, not at that level, obviously, but that shit still hurts on any level.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big thing for us when we started. That we're like, oh, we're gonna get so much shit, and someone's gonna be like, oh, look at these hot timers, think they've got a podcast, and but
isn't it fascinating that when you did it, I bet there wasn't many or any critics.
no.
Zero.
You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how much we build in our head of this negative scenarios or play it out like, oh, we're gonna have, well, my buddies are gonna jump on and just rag me out, or anything like that. But then you end up doing it, and they're like, hey man, great work, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And like it's we talk ourselves out of great things or doing phenomenal things time after time based on possibilities. Possibly someone will say something, possibly this will be the outcome. You never know until you put the foot in there and have a crack. So it's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, really appreciate that. I think that ties in brilliantly to this. You're the head of a massive snake, which is proven. You've gone from Weeper to Gladstone, and obviously there's a lot of stuff in between, but now all we see is proven, the massive brand it is. As best you can, explain the journey from CrossFit Gladstone to Proven Fitness.
Yeah, man. Like, I think it's again, crazy roller coaster in that. If you had asked me 5-6 years ago, like, would I be where I am today? And I clearly would laugh at you. And it's probably, I don't know if it's probably that DNA of being Australian and New Zealand again, but
Yeah.
I think it's more, we never were aggressive or ambitious quite early on because the sole focus was for Tia to achieve, for us to achieve as much as we could within the athletic career that she had. Right. And we reached a critical moment where people were asking or reaching out like, hey, how do you do this? Or what's going on? Or how can we be a part of it? Or so then we branched out, and we just thought we'd start at small time by adding a few more athletes to our roster and expanding to an online programming to provide me the freedom or the ability to travel and do my work, and for us to potentially one day, if we wanted to, move over to America. Throughout this time, right, I never thought that we'd still be here, but I think the goals were always just small-minded. We just wanted to make sure that our product or what we were doing was quality. And then I always thought that once we have that foundation, once that pillar is set, it'd be easy then to expand or grow, and then potentially reach out to the US or potentially go out to Europe. But we found ourselves at a great pivotal point now that globally, we have so much of reach, and we have so many affiliates or athletes that want to be a part of our brand, which is phenomenal. But the core or the concept that we tried to create was we wanted to be able to fast track an athlete's development by providing them the tools and the lessons that we learned throughout our journey. Because again, coming from a humble background, we didn't come from much, or we didn't have terms of like resources of like athletic doctors or personal trainers or strength and conditioning coaches that worked for NRL or rugby union teams or NBA teams or anything of that nature. We didn't have recovery protocols that we had at expense. A lot of that was like trial and tribulation. Like, we trialed it, we didn't like it. I wrote notes on why I didn't like it or why I liked it. And then we just expanded and just kept trialing and doing things. So now I felt like, heck, like, why don't we put some of those resources or the learnings that we put and fast track other athletes to get to their goals, whether it be in CrossFit or expanded outside of CrossFit. So that is our pillar. That is our still a core thing that I hold to me, is to advance an athlete through the lessons or the coaching that I've been able to pick up along my journey and provide that to the athlete. And hence proven, right? Like, we feel like it's a concept or something that we've been able to prove, and fortunately time after time, so that solidified the brand name. And man, here we are. Hey,
Yeah.
What a crazy ride.
That's amazing. How far along the journey did you realize you wanted to open your own sort of bricks and mortar affiliate?
Yeah, so we own an affiliate back in Gladstone. We owned that for about 3 and a bit years. Once we sold that, I honestly turned the tear and said, never again. Didn't think we'd do it again. And then here we are 5 years later, and we've opened up another one. And it's been really rewarding, to be honest. And I don't want to say that from a cheesy, cliche perspective, but sometimes when you work with elite athletes, for like the sakes of T or Jay Crouch, when you're chasing a 1% growth in an athlete like that, that's a big margin to chase, right? Like when we're after half a kilo or a kilo PB, that's something to be celebrating. And then it's just rewarding when I go to the other spectrum, right? Someone just comes in for the first time, they're blown away by the facility, but they do their first push up, they do their first box jump, and to see the look on their face, you know that made an impact on their life and the trajectory of their life. And for me, that's something maybe I take it for granted, and I needed that to reinvigorate, or just to maybe selfishly to inspire me to keep doing what I've been doing from a coaching perspective. And not that I'm not getting gratification or satisfaction out of the elite athletes, but I think sometimes it gets lost that, hey, what we're doing, the actual fitness space, whether it be CrossFit or anything like that, we're actually enhancing life or giving them the ability to do things that they weren't sure they were capable of. And it's powerful, man. Like, now that being a father, like I want to be able to make sure that I'm doing those things. I'm sure you guys understand that, but like, I want to make sure that these people that walk through these doors, that we provide the bloody same experience, or we provide them the same opportunities. That, hey man, like, you don't have to strive to be the elite, just strive to be better, right? Like, just chase that. Like, let's just keep it there and enjoy that. Just hang out with that side of your goals and expectation. And then there's that other aspect that the longingness or the need to create a brick and mortar actually stem from the concept of, we talked about a brand for a long time, about this thing called community, right? And I think that's been plastered around the world a lot, this word community. And we talk about it, hey, come out to these semifinals events, Proven going to do these community events. We'd love for you to join in. Hey, this weekend, guys, on the internet, we're doing a community live event, community. And it really dawned on us that, how can we plaster this around the world and talk about a community if we don't have a physical one of our own? And then how if we can't grow, if we don't have a physical destination of understanding what's working or what we need or what the community actually needs from a health standpoint. And then here we are talking to the masses. So it was important for us to physically create something of our own, something that we're proud of, have people that are proud of the brand, and then grow that. Then we can talk from a standpoint of actual achieving this, or actually, from experience. And that never really came to light, honestly, guys, until we hosted 24.3 just the other week. When we hosted that, there was cheering in there. And it would have sounded the exact same for you guys, but for me, it was a different noise. It was a noise from, they were proud of the people representing the brand Proven, because they were members of ours out there cheering for Jay and Sydney Wells. And those cheers were different because they cared about them, because there was a community aspect involved. And for me, that just gave me chills at that moment, going, crap, this was all worth it. Because to host the open event is quite invasive. Like CrossFit, they move in. We had to shut down our affiliate. And we had to do all these great things and make space for them. And it was all worth it to see our community get behind our athletes, but like just cheer or encourage or shout out, and it was just different. It's exactly what we were chasing. So I'm very fortunate for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a great answer.
Hard out. And I do want to dive into the affiliate since you guys have been open and 24.3, but just the thought that came to my head just then, I don't know if you've ever taken a step back and thought about it this way, but from me, like we're doing the affiliate series, we talk to affiliates, and as part of that, signing on as an affiliate, you not just only get the word CrossFit, you also sign on to training people via the CrossFit methodology. And I just thought it was cool because you're talking about community and giving back to the community. It's almost cool that the CrossFit methodology, I could almost say that you and Tia have had a huge part in shaping it into what it is today, because you've been in the sport for so long. So that was just a thought that popped into my head. It's like people sign on to do the CrossFit methodology, but you guys helped shape it to what it is today, and that was just a cool thought.
100%.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
100%. Cool. I coach a teens class, and I have for the last 5 years, and the amount of young girls coming through, and obviously I didn't grow up as a female, but the shift, just watching someone like Tia or Sydney or, just Maddie Sturt, you can pick a name from a hat, achieve what they've achieved, and seeing like young girls come through and be like, no, I want to lift some heavy weights, I want to do CrossFit, is so cool to watch.
Yeah, it is cool.
The shift has been amazing, and yeah, you and Tia have been an incredible part of that, so well done to you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, CrossFit Proven, it is, you guys opened last year?
Yep.
Last year, this year?
This year. We'll say this year.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did a soft launch like 2 weeks before Christmas, but that was just to friends and family, and then officially, yeah.
Yeah. So since being open, obviously you've hosted 24.3. How was that experience, if you could dive a little deeper?
Yeah, it was good. Like I got a phenomenal team, right? Nick, our CEO of Proven, he did a phenomenal job. He did a lot of the heavy lifting. Mitch, our general manager for the gym, he supported and was very heavily involved. Fortunately, like I get to just walk around and then just triage or help out where I can. But in terms of like the logistics and the back end of stuff, a lot of it's pretty buttoned up, What I will say is, like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but people speculated that Justin Medeiros knew a workout and knew that there was no lunges involved. I don't know if you saw that, but that came out in that positive space that we have sometimes.
Yeah. Cheers.
But cheers to them. But what I will say, like, none of that can come out, like, because we knew none of it, and they were so tightened up with us. They just wanted us to take videos, and then like they would screenshot it throughout our walkthrough at our gym. They would want floor plans. They would like to know like what's the capacity of people that could do here, and all those, all just the logistics of running an event. But all our staff had to sign NDAs to make sure that we, like, obviously what little information we knew had to stay within us, so we couldn't tell our members and like until 2 weeks prior to the event.
What, that you were
but
even
once
hosting
it does,
you couldn't tell them?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's just to keep it. I think they just wanted to keep it from getting leaked out, which makes sense, but it's just hard because people are wondering, like, what are we going to do for week 3? Because we couldn't really talk about it. Like, hey, week 1 and 2, we're going to do this. And they're like, what about week 3? We're like, we're thinking on it.
We'll figure that out.
We'll pack it in. But once they move here, like there's a gentleman what comes out like the week before, and like, he's here all week, and he starts catching all deliveries and all that stuff, whatever it may be, from banners to like Barrel Sauna, some of their partnerships. But a lot of it doesn't really come intrusive until about the Tuesday, Wednesday, and bang, and then CrossFit are heavily involved here, right? And then you start, Dave Castro and Don start rolling in on the Wednesday or the day before.
Right.
And some of the big partners like Rogue and Jocko's team, whoever was representing them, they were in house. It's awesome. Like it really is. It's I didn't, and I think this is because of how long we've been in the space. I didn't realize how much it means to the community to have one hosted here. And that was awesome to me, for me to recognize so early on an owning affiliate, like how special it is to host something like this, to have the privilege of having an open here. And I'm very fortunate for me, but there was a minute where I was thinking, man, this is so invasive. Like, I don't know if I would ever sign up to this again, like just thinking like, dang, like there's not an inch in my gym where it's not getting utilized by CrossFit or a bench or a chair or a banner or some form of storage. So that was crazy. But the actual day itself goes pretty quick, right? Seeing a lot of the production happen, like a lot of back end stuff of them doing walkthrough simulations of it. Like Dave does his announcements probably about 3 or 4 times before he actually got, probably more, but from my small walking around, he rehearses his lines. They go through a breakdown. Every second has been thought of. I know once it got leaked early, the workout got leaked early. I know it was a shock to a lot of these guys here. In fact, this is one of the conference rooms that they acquired throughout the time, and they were obviously like mortified by it all. But again, like quite resilient. They're kind of used to the things being thrown in their face the last second, so they just rolled on with the show, which was pretty cool. But it's special, man. I think from the concept of an affiliate owner, it's unique, and it's just great to see the community turn out for events like this, right? Because again, like I'm so heavy gross with the performance of an elite athlete that I do miss some of these things that I guess I take granted for.
Yeah, I think all coaches in the space are guilty of that, and I've been caught a couple of times this year watching. I've got one member in mind. Her name's Belinda. She's 62, 63, farmed all her life. Just she's not a very good mover, and for her, she's maybe doing CrossFit 3 months, and she got like her first full setup, like hands behind the back all the way up to touch her toes, and you're just going, shit, it's way bigger than someone doing 20 unbroken handstand press ups. It's like so much more there, and I think it's good to that even yourself at such a high level can still be reminded of where it actually all matters and all begins.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant segue into my question. I wanted to know, you've spent a lot of time with high level athletes, but like you say, you're now running an affiliate, and I suppose you could call it a new affiliate, but you're not new to coaching people and providing programming and helping people get better and achieve greatness. So if I could ask you, who's someone, other than the obvious, that would be Tia, who is someone, a member or even just a member of the public, that has inspired you?
Oh, cool. Wow. I mean, obviously there's so many, and it's drawn from outside of the space, watching other strength and conditioning coaches in the rugby league space, the NBA, even like trying to dive deep in the English Premier League and seeing what those coaches do. But I think a real key person in a lot of our development, and who I'm very appreciative of, is Miles. He was Tia's weightlifting coach. What actually told Tia quite early on, before it all came about, said, Tia, you can make the Olympics. And again, Australian tall poppy syndrome came through. This man's crazy. This guy's crazy. This guy doesn't know what he's on about. Tia, let's just chill out a bit here. But he was the first gentleman that told me, like, hey, Shane, you could be a phenomenal coach. You've got the eye for it. You can do this too. I'm going to teach you how to do it remotely. And his self-belief, but more so his plan, provided me the guidance that I needed more than I probably even let him know about. He structured everything out quite clearly on, 16, 20 weeks out, and going, hey, these are the steps that we're going to take in order for you to make the Olympics. And now, just because I'm saying 16 to 20 weeks, it's actually a 3.5 year process, but every 20 weeks, there'd be something else in the cards where he'd revamp it and give us more notes and then provide a new plan there. So every step was thoroughly thought of. His self-belief was a huge monumental part for myself and for Tia, right? For someone who's an Olympic coach, represented Australia in that platform or in that field, to talk to Tia and I from a small town of Gladstone or Weipa and said, hey, you can make the Olympics, you can achieve one of the biggest goals you can in sport. That went a long way, and that allowed me to like just believe like, hey, like you don't confine yourself or restrict your goals just based on your own thoughts. Like think bigger, think larger, be aggressive. Go for it. And that gentleman was that person we needed at the right time of our life.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Shout out. What was his name? Miles Wilder.
Waddle, yeah,
Waddle.
Waddle.
Sorry.
Yeah. He's from Brisbane. I'm sure he'll probably find this from one of his athletes listening. So
Shout out.
if he's listening, well done to you. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Oh, very good, man.
Hard out. I guess from there, we mentioned it at the beginning. You are a father now, having Willow last year. Congratulations to yourself and Tia.
Thank you.
How has life been? Because you own Proven, and before it was an affiliate, it was still a massive business, a massive brand. How do you balance being an elite level coach, an affiliate owner, a husband, because your relationship is still important, and now a father? How are you balancing all of these very important roles?
Yeah. I think balancing is a good word, right? I think sometimes it falls through the crack or the ball drops and you got to pick it back up and keep juggling or doing whatever you need to balance them all. I commend Tia for it as well, just being so resilient and driven and like an understanding of what we're trying to achieve, because it is a lot on our plate, especially just to be the best in the world in something is a big burden or is a big task to overcome or a big mountain to climb. Then you add the additional elements in with our ambitions of what we're trying to achieve for Proven. And our most important aspect is our daughter, making sure that we have set her in the right path or provide her absolutely every minute that she deserves. That is certainly something we don't take lightly, and we want to see flourish, and we will. I say the juggling act is because it is, man. Sometimes some things fall through the crack, and that may be like I miss something at work, or I forget to provide an email or give them response back in the timely manner, or reaching out to you guys and giving you guys the respect or the time that you require in order to respond or to do a podcast. And in terms of relationship, when we are so heavily driven towards performance, I forget sometimes that I am the husband too, where my level of care has to be different than just a coach. That the emotional buy-in that I want to provide or I should provide for my wife. I guess it is tough, and I'm sure many people understand when they are juggling a lot of things, it is tough, but it's what we signed up for. So it's something that we're going to carry on and complete, and we will achieve. But at the same time too, right? Like you go through these and you don't know better either, right? Like you're so driven in what you're trying to achieve that you don't recognize. It's not until you smell and you just step back or have a question thrown like this at you, you start going, oh dang, there is actually a lot on my plate. I didn't really have a minute to think about it because I'm just wanting to make sure that I don't drop any of these balls or buckets, that I want to keep providing or servicing the goals that I have. But I just want to make sure that my daughter recognizes the work that Tia's put in to be where she is. I wish that she can retain some of this to see how phenomenal Tia is. And I hope she can see from me and Tia the work ethic that we're trying to achieve, that, hey, like you can achieve anything you want, but you got to bloody work hard for it. And I hope she gets to see that through our lens, or at least through her lens, from what her parents are trying to achieve. So it is difficult, guys. But I don't know better either, if that makes sense. So had Tia not wanted to be the best at something, and we just had the other two entities or two other big buckets, I'd still think that's tough, And if I only had the one, I'd still think that's tough. But I just think it's just how we're wired. Like we just want to achieve the best possible outcome that we can, and we just get after it too.
Yeah, I think just even hearing your background, it's quite easy to see that. I mean, your daughter will definitely pick up on that because it is hardwired in you to want to work hard. And obviously, again, I don't know you guys personally, but from a 50,000 foot lens, I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job, especially yourself. And this is why it was so important to get on and hear your story, because you are juggling a lot, and I think you're doing an amazing job from where we are anyway.
Oh man, I appreciate that. I honestly do. I think it means a lot for you to say that, and I think that's something that you never really, you never understand it fully because you are just living day to day sometimes, right? I'm sure you guys understand that too. It's not and that's the best thing about a podcast. You get to like reflect or ponder on things, and you get self growth out of it too. Going, oh crap, man, I've come a long way. This is awesome. You know what? I'm going to punch on, and it motivated me for another 6 months until I hit another brick wall. But
we'll get you back
I
on
think
there.
might need a little pump me up. But no, I appreciate that, and it is special. Like to be a father is it is the best thing, man. Like I think, like I'm not absolutely religious, but I think one of the closest things that we can be spiritually, or what I want to achieve in life, is to create your own family and create that spirit or that bond there. That's something that I've always wanted to do, and I've been very fortunate enough to do that at this age, or to have a daughter is the best thing absolutely ever. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and you summed it up beautifully. But yeah, I just want to also give you props because it's huge I think it's huge for people to realize that outside of CrossFit, you guys are human beings, and that it's a big thing. Like I saw a post the other day from the CrossFit Games about Tia. She's coming to win it, and that's like I get why they do that. At the end of the day, the CrossFit Games is just a sporting competition. It's if you take it right back, that's all it is. But a competition with a narrative gets bums in seats. So them pushing Tia's coming back, she wants to win it, she's coming for the title. I get that. But, take a step back. She's now a mother, you're now a father, you also own a business. There's so many roles, and it's easy for us as the public to just be like, oh yeah, Tia's trying to be the best in the world again. And that's it. But no, you guys are people as well at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's so true too, right? Like I think the script for chasing number 7 is different this year. Like we've got Willow in the picture, right? We're opened up an affiliate. We're over in America. Things are a lot different, but at the same time, it's more motivation too, right? Like now we've got Willow in the picture. It's like Tia doesn't want to fail in front of her, and we've got this growing community here in America, or globally, really. But like, I mean, a physical presence with our affiliate here that they want to see us succeed too, which is just awesome to have great people wanting to see you grow and succeed. And our team here around us want us to see us succeed. And even though we have additional elements that could see us derailed, I think it's just nothing but more motivation for us to prevail too than to succeed, because this will be the biggest year yet for us too. So in terms of what we're trying to achieve, so I'm pumped for it. I really am. I think I'm really excited for Tia to enter the quarterfinals, get through that. But semifinals in the games is where we're going to come to life, and I'm really excited for that. Hey, so I know we're not being able to come home, for the semifinals of Torian Pro, so we're bummed about that. But just with the additional travel with Willow on the occasion and her medical doctors and everything, just being an American citizen, like we need to keep ourselves grounded, and obviously being a business owner over here just solidified the reasons why we needed to be here. So we're bummed that we can't be there for Torian, but hopefully, and I'm sure we will, from Australia and New Zealand, we'll get the support from those guys to like rally behind here. But I'm just more excited for her to showcase what she's trying to achieve, on the back end. It's been a long off season, like to compete at Rogue 5 months after Willow was her choosing, right? And it's so easy to keep an what do you call it, like a undefeated streak alive by not competing. But it was important for Tia to go, I need to know how my body responds to acts right now so that I can be ready for when it matters the most in August. So for that decision to be made early on, just solidified quite early on, she's not playing around. We're here for serious things. So it's awesome to be a part of it and to take on these challenges too, guys.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was going to try and end on what this year looked like for you guys, but I think you've answered that very well.
Sorry.
Nah, listen, you went there anyway.
Sure.
I didn't have to take you there, so that is amazing. Yeah. So listen, we've taken up enough of your time already. Thank you so much, first of all, for jumping on. Really appreciate it. I was saying to Beef, this is the most nervous I've been for a podcast since the first one.
Cool. I appreciate it, guys. I hope I didn't make it. I hope I lived up to the expectation, or at least I hope I provided a good podcast.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, there was a little
little emoji. Are you seeing that?
Oh,
is that coming up on your screen?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Well, that's cool. Is that coming up on? Yeah, I did that. Yeah, you're welcome.
Just a big thumbs up from Shane. Listen,
there it is again.
Yeah, it won't stop now.
Have you gone live?
Well, maybe.
That'd be funny, eh?
Yeah.
Crack up.
Yeah. Listen, we'll aim to wrap it up there. Yeah. Thank you again for coming on. The way we're ending these now is the previous guest asks the next guest the question. They don't know who the guest is. And this week's question comes from J-Boy, Johnny Timu from CrossFit South Auckland. He's the affiliate owner there. And his question was, Johnny?
What do you got, Johnny?
What is something that you wish you'd learned earlier that you know now?
Oh, man, why couldn't it be an easy one? No, that's a good question. I think let me
simmer on that.
Can you ask the question again?
What's something you wish you'd learned earlier that you know now?
Ooh.
You stumped him, Johnny.
You got him, Johnny.
I am, because I think you did, Johnny. But I think it's just more like there's so many lessons, right, to be shared, and I'm just trying to think of something more recent or some of the conversations we've just had. And I think one of it is like never rule out anything. Like look at me in an affiliate sense that I never thought I'd own another affiliate, and here I am, prouder than ever that I am an affiliate owner again, and I'm so fortunate for it because it's really instilled it's lightened up, like it's given me so much more motivation, or it's like filled up my bucket of passion again in terms of what I'm trying to achieve as a coach and see the larger picture. That's been something that I'm very fortunate for, and I think that's something that I've recognized of like never rule something out, or never say never, because that's not always the case, right? So that's probably what comes to mind first, guys. Yeah.
No, great answer.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, that was brilliant. We will grab your camera off screen.
Question.
Oh, my question, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want me to say it? Okay.
Yeah, we'll grab it after this.
Still nervous.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, because then
Yeah.
I'm nervous too.
Sweet, bro.
But yeah, before we do sign off, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out?
Not particularly, guys, but I want to shout out to you guys. I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to speak to me. I know it's time zones and stuff like that, and for you guys to hustle and get your podcast to where it is today. I'm very fortunate for you guys to reach out. I think the impact that you guys are giving from a standpoint of your audience, it paints a bigger picture of what the fitness industry is about from an affiliate owner, from the coaching aspect, from the athlete sense. I think you give a great 360 view of what this fitness or the community is all about. So I'm very fortunate for you guys to allow me to be a part of the show.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. That means a lot.
Yeah, that's huge.
Cool.
Man, yeah, thank you, bro. Fuck.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. Listen, we'll leave it there. We'll give you a question when we sign off, but thank you very much for sitting down for the better part of an hour. And
all the best for the season.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.